Former Congressman Gregg Harper from the 3rd District. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. It's just some of this stuff in the news, you just couldn't make it up. Nobody would have believed some of this stuff even a week ago. Yeah. So just sometimes you don't know what to say.
I know you're overdosing on it, to be honest with you. I mean, first of all, I don't know if you've seen the Wicker vote. That's got a lot of people puzzled exactly what went on with that one. Why would he vote for the Democrats or Kennedy for that matter, and a couple of others, of course, Mitt Romney, and I think it was about 15 or maybe even a little bit more, 20 that voted with the Democrats to do this and not pull the separated from the border situation or put the border situation with it. So you have any thoughts on that?
Well, certainly, there's not going to be a vote on the actual border bill. So you're talking about just a deal to buy more time. But when you're talking about national security issues on any level, I'll just have to say that the expert for me has always been Senator Roger Wicker. And I'm trying to keep in mind that if we can get the Senate majority back, then Senator Wicker will be the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, which is huge for the country and certainly for Mississippi, Paul. And when you look at the challenges, look, China's at war with us, whether we realize it or not. And that's the one great thing about when I talk to Wicker. He gets that. He gets it on the ship count, what we need for our Navy to be full force, and it's not what the Biden administration is doing right now.
Let me switch over to, and you and I had talked about Mike Johnson during this McCarthy thing.
That's right.
When you followed this and you saw what was going on and the vote count, I don't think that thing is over yet. We got another vote coming up, maybe. Steve Scalise hopefully will be back. I'm not sure if he's back yet, but they're talking about another vote on this one. Did you keep up with that? And can you say that it was inexperience? Or is this just the way the game is played? But your thoughts as a former congressman on what went down.
Yeah, Paul, look, you never want to bring, and you're in the majority, you don't ever want to bring anything up that you know you don't have the votes for. And this one failed, 214 to 216. And you had 3 Republicans that voted no on it. So when we say that, you don't ever want to lose a vote that you bring up in the majority. It happens every Congress. You see it. There's going to be that slip up that happens. It creates that issue. So I don't know that you would say that it's due to Johnson's inexperience, but some of the disarray that's perceived right now in the House, I would say, is not Speaker Johnson's real fault. If you want to blame anybody, you go back and blame the 8 members that voted with all the Democrats to oust Kevin McCarthy, and those are the ones that I would say hold that responsibility. And remember too, on this vote on the Mayorkas impeachment, there was at the very last minute, just seconds before the vote ended, Congressman Blake Moore of Utah changed his vote to no in order to, that's a procedural move, even though he was not a no vote. Personally, he changed his vote to no so that they can bring this back up later. So I think they'll get everything back together. Scalise gets back from cancer treatment, and somewhere down the line they'll be able to cobble those votes together. Yeah. And so we'll see how it plays out, in the next few weeks.
Did you watch any of the press conference last night?
Not live, but I suffered through it on replay. And what do you say, Paul? I don't know. My memory's fine. And by the way, I've told the president of Mexico.
As a matter of fact, since you said that, listen to this.
In the Gaza Strip has been over the top. As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate.
It is a very low bar to be ruled mentally fit for trial. The most retirees in most retirement communities all across the country could meet. The President of the United States does not meet.
Stephen Miller had to say.
When they talk about diminished faculties, those are phrases you hear in a hospice care setting when they're explaining to the children of the patient why grandpa is biting the care workers. That's how bad this is. That's the president of the United States. When he thinks the president of Egypt is the president of Mexico. He went on TV live and talked about opening up humanitarian gateways from Mexico to the Gaza Strip. Do you know how demented and deranged that sounds? A man shouted angrily at reporters, accosted them, screamed at them, and then he said, oh, let's talk about the president of Mexico, El Sisi, and our plan for Gaza relief. This is a PR catastrophe for the White House, but it is a national security catastrophe for the United States.
I know it's hard when you're not in Washington all the time to stay with the vibes, but do you think that there is a movement now that says, and they're going to go and just tell them, you got to get out of here. You got to resign.
You know, I think the signal is that the national media is now kind of leaning hard on Biden. So if you see the news stories start to promote this and highlight this more and a little bit more pushback, and maybe a few Democrats begin to publicly say, then you'll know the tide is turning against him. But at this point, you know, they have it so orchestrated that, Paul, if you were to ask me, okay, Biden's not at the top of his game, to be, you know, that's as polite a thing as I can say, that who's really running the country right now? And if you're looking at it from national leaders out there, whether it's, you know, Putin in Russia or, China, you're thinking, boy, if we're going to do anything, this is the time that we need to do it. And it's a frightening time, isn't it?
Well, the other part of that is this, that whomever it is pulling the strings, they will be the one that chooses who the next leaders will be as far as the Democrat Party is concerned. If Kamala is elevated to presidency before the election, then the people pulling the strings, will choose the president, vice president, and likely that will be the president when she either loses or steps down, and the carousel will continue. But one way or the other, they will retain control.
They don't really have a really deep bench, in my view, and I don't see Harris as having any more, probably less support than Biden. And, you know, I'm sure that, you know, we're hearing reports privately that a lot of Democrats in the House and Senate are expressing great concern over Biden's position right now. And then everything that they've done against Trump the last 4 years, which is off the charts, unlike anybody else that's ever been attacked in our political history, for sure. I think they're really almost in a panic stage right now. So the next few weeks, the month will tell. You can look at any time Biden has a public statement and he's being interviewed, it's just not quite there. I mean, you're nervous waiting for, okay, what's going to happen this time? And so, I mean, this is hard. Look, Republican or Democrat, you don't want the president of the United States on the national stage to be making blunders like that.
What do you think about Ronna McDaniel saying that that's it for her? She's gonna step aside. It's just, I think she's had so much pressure from Trump and from some of the people on the right side of the Republican Party, said that's enough.
Well, you know, I really think she's done an admirable job over these years, and it's pretty much a thankless job, and she's done well. But it's not something that somebody's going to hang on to that position forever. Yeah. So sometimes change is not a bad thing for her or for that position.
Well, when you say somebody, is it Gavin Newsom? Is that where everything is leading to, or Michelle Obama? One or the other? Well, like you said, they don't have a wide team there to choose from. Yeah,
I mean, Michelle Obama has, you know, certainly she would be a, mega celebrity superstar and would definitely motivate their side if she were to run. But she's got a pretty good life right now, and the thought that she would want to give that up and take that on would be very surprising, but I think she'd be formidable if that were to happen. But Newsom, I mean, he's the typical blueprint, extremely liberal. Certainly doesn't support any remotely pro-life issues. They've got, their situation in California is bad. They lost a congressional seat, so for the first time ever,
terrible. And they're in debt. And they're in debt up to their neck. I'm cutting you short here just for a second or two because we've got a break coming up and the computer's going to take us away. Can you hang on for a second?
Sure. Be happy to, Paul.
House and Senate back at 9 o'clock. More with Gregg Harper coming up now. We were talking about the thing last night. Former Gorsuch law clerk Mike Davis, he was on Fox last night, and Gregg Harper is my guest, former Congressman, 3rd District. And Mike Davis was on Fox, and he said, how does Merrick Garland explain that he's going to charge Trump for records he's allowed to have, but not charge Biden for records that he stole? I mean, how do you do that?
I mean, does it just, is it because Trump has a great memory? I mean, is that the criteria that we're going to use? Trump was the president of the United States. Biden was the vice president. And that's a different, category when it comes to handling classified documents. And it is, even though he's made the decision, the special prosecutor, not to formally charge Biden, I believe his statement that he made may be more painful than having a criminal charge.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's why the attorneys wanted him to change that.
A sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. How's that sound like? First,
who's got the nuclear codes and could use them?
He doesn't have them. We don't know where they are.
Hey, don't you see some similarities in what I'm about to read and Hillary Clinton and the FBI guy sitting there and talking about the exoneration? When you read, Special Counsel Robert Hur will not recommend criminal charges against President Biden for mishandling classified documents, according to the report, yada, 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 because he's old and feeble. I mean, there's always a because. And here's the other thing. How in this one can he be charged with this anyway if there's presidential immunity?
Oh, that's certainly going to be a big question and argument. But
for the Supreme Court.
Hey, look, you mentioned Hillary Clinton. I mean, she took steps to destroy a server. Mm-hmm. Trump had stuff stored at his Mar-a-Lago home. I mean, the difference is just amazing. I'm still looking for her emails. I know they're out there somewhere. Somebody's got them. And so it is definitely, there's no question there's a double standard here. But I think politically from this standpoint, it's probably, like we said, more damaging to Biden to have his memory publicly in a formal report questioned, not questioned, but stated that he has a poor memory. I mean, and you go back and look at what he's done. It's not just the fact that he thinks that Gaza borders Mexico. I mean, he talked about in 2017. He talks about the G7 summit that he attended, and he mixes up the names of the German chancellor who's dead, who was dead, and Merkel. He didn't mention Merkel. He got the old one, and then he mixed up the leaders of France and some other countries. So I mean, he's struggling.
When he was being interrogated, it's almost like somebody, a highway patrolman or a police officer, giving you a test from your for a DUI, asking you these questions. Do you know where you are? You understand which way you were going, and all things like this. And one of the good questions is you ask somebody dates that they should know. When did your son die? That's what he was asking. He wasn't, and boy, when he handled that question last night, it just, I thought he was not going to be able to continue.
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of. Every Memorial Day we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away.
Really sad. You got about 10 seconds here to wrap it up, sir.
Well, look, while we've had so much discussion on the border issues, one thing I would keep in mind is while we're not working out a deal with the border with the divided government, we cannot continue to ignore Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan that are dependent upon U.S. support. So I hope we'll take a look at that regardless.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it very much.